the concept of success is defined in Western society as typically as material success. The amount of money in my bank account, the status I have in society or in my office, the size of my house, the kind of car I drive, that's typically the definition of success. And there's all kinds of tricks and systems people have developed and promoted and tried to sell to increase success based on that definition. Judaism, first of all, would like to turn that definition on its head, reject it out of hand. That's not successful. That's materially successful, but that's not successful in Jewish terms. That's not spiritually successful. In fact, material success can often be counterproductive on the path towards spiritual success. It can often be a big distraction. Sometimes, when people are materially successful, they go off the deep end spiritually. So first of all, what is the definition of success? That said, there's this principle in the Talmud, ein kemach, ein Torah. Without flour, one doesn't have wisdom. You have to eat too. There's nothing to be ashamed of to have money. There's nothing to be ashamed of to have a nice house, nice things in the house. As long as those aren't my end goal, those aren't my definition of success, and I see those things as a means towards a higher goal. So that said, if I need such means, if with money I can do more good in the world than without money, so what's the secret to being successful with money? I once heard a successful venture capitalist say quite honestly, he thought he would be as successful as a VC in picking companies if he just threw darts at a dartboard. That's what he said. He really meant this. In other words, there appears to be no successful rule, no rule that I can point to and say, because if there was, everybody would be doing it, right? There's no rule I can tell you that's going to work for everybody. In fact, this is the age-old question. Sometimes people who seem to be doing all the right things, they fail, and people who seem to be doing all the wrong things, they succeed wildly. How do we process this? How do we understand this? Is there any real secret? Well, two things. Number one, Judaism says that when God created the world, he created certain powers, certain spiritual powers that are real and that is possible to tap into. I'll give you an example. Astrology. Judaism says, even to this day, that there is something real about astrology if practiced by someone who knows astrology, which there may not be anybody around today who does. But astrology per se, as a concept, that there's some connection between the arrangement, pattern of stars in the sky and events on this earth, or at least potentials for people on this planet, that's not necessarily outside the realm of Judaism. However, there's a beautiful story about this in the Torah. When Abraham, the great Abraham, God says to Abraham, you're going to have a child. And Abraham says, I don't understand, God. I'm very confused here. I hear you tell me I have a child. But I learned astrology, and I'm looking at the stars, which you yourself, God, made. And according to the stars, I'm not ever going to have children. I don't understand. You're giving me mixed messages here. What is it? Am I going to have a child or not have a child? It says that God then takes Abraham outside. Outside what? The oral tradition says he took him outside the stars, so to speak. He said like this, yes, Abraham, the stars do say that, but you plug straight into me, connect directly to God, you can transcend the stars. You can transcend these spiritual forces. They're irrelevant. So, yes, there are such forces that's possible to tap into them, but what it means to be Jewish, in a sense, this is a definition of being Jewish, is being aware that I don't need to worry about all that stuff. I don't need to worry about astrology. I don't need to worry about magic. I don't need to worry about the stock market going up or down, because my fortune and my fate and my future have nothing to do with all that stuff, because I'm plugging directly into the source of everything. I mean, if you think about it, put it in real colloquial terms. Do you think if there is a God, is it possible God could make you a millionaire tomorrow? Is it possible? Of course it is. Has it ever happened that someone became a millionaire overnight? Of course it has. Since you know it's possible, and not only possible, it's actually happened, so why couldn't it happen to you? You don't need tricks. You don't need gimmicks. You don't need systems. You need to direct your heart and mind and focus to the source of everything. Then also recognize, if I sit and I ask God for something, and this is the story of the kid in communist Russia, where they were atheistic and anti-religion, and there's a Jewish kid in this communist classroom in the public school, and every morning the teacher notices he's like mumbling something. She says, "Oh, Yitzchak, what you doing there, Yitzchak?" And he says, I'm just praying. Oh, class, you're this. Yitzchak is praying. She's making fun of him, Little Jewish boy's praying. What are you praying for? He says, I'm praying for a bicycle. So this goes on, she makes fun of him, finally gets old. After about 6 months, she knows he stopped praying. So she's saying, she wants to make fun of him again. She says, Yitzchak, I see you stopped praying. Did you get your bicycle? And he says, no, I didn't. You see, class, there's no God. Yitzchak prays for a bicycle. He doesn't get a bicycle. Yitzchak, you finally see that there's no God? He says, no, I don't see that at all. What are you talking about? Did you get your bicycle? Did God answer your prayers? He says, yeah, God answered my prayer. He said, no. Ultimately, when we want to know the real secret of life is, if you ask for something and you don't get it, that's also an answer. You're not ready for it right now.